What's going on, family? Welcome to another episode of the Seas Monroe Show. I am your host, and today we're going to talk about a slew of things. It is 2025, first and foremost, so I want to welcome you guys to 2025. Let's get the numbers up. All 2025, I got some new things headed your way. But today, I want to talk about a few things. We're going to be talking about Starz, their business model, Disney, as far as their business model. I feel like we're going to be talking a lot of business this episode, and I feel like that's what's going to be going on in 2025, just the way that things are stirring up. I'm going to get to that in a minute, but I also want to give you guys the Sonic review, the Sonic 3 review. I didn't get to talk to you guys about that. I also want to talk to you guys about a few other things, and we're going to get into that right now, right here, only on the Seas Monroe Show. Before we get into 2025, I want to start off by saying that 2024 was a solid year for film. I want to start off at the summer mark of 2024 because I feel like that's when we just started going and it didn't stop. So we had to start off for the summer, which was Bad Boys 4. It got into Inside Out 2, which did very well at the box office. I believe it made over $1 billion, which is crazy. And honestly, I thought Despicable Me 4 was going to do better. I just didn't think the movie was good enough to accumulate the dollars that Inside Out 2 was going to do. Not saying that it was going to do more or just as much, but I thought it would be in the same realm of Inside Out. But Inside Out did like double the numbers of Despicable Me 4. But that's neither here nor there. And then we had another blockbuster from Disney, which was Deadpool and Wolverine. Again, you guys know how I feel about that film, but I'm going to leave that in 2024. We're moving forward here, guys. And with that, I just felt like the summer was a lot better than expected as far as numbers wise. Now, was there a lot of films that came out that was great? Not too much, but I felt like this year beat a lot of years as far as blockbuster numbers and just box office numbers period in general. So getting into it, like we talked about Mufasa in my last episode, so I didn't get to talk about Sonic 3 because at the time I was going to go watch Sonic 3. Hands down, the best Sonic film out there. Sonic 3 was phenomenal. The thing to stand out for me was Jim Carrey. Like, he did a phenomenal job as always, but he was just more hilarious with this one. This one, you kind of seen that he had the writer's room at that point. Like, he ran the writer's room when it came to his dialogue, because there is no way that anyone else wrote that but Jim Carrey. There's literally, like, scene for scene, Jim Carrey is like, it reminds you of the 90s Jim Carrey, the early 2000s Jim Carrey with his humor, and the energy was there. So I thought that was pretty dope. All in all, the film was amazing. If you guys haven't checked out Sonic 3, definitely go check it out. It is worth the watch. I can't wait to go watch it again. Another movie that fell on deaf ears a lot was The Fire Inside, which is it's a coming of age boxing film. I'm forgetting the boxer's name. Don't kill me, guys. I'm gonna have the editor put it in the video. But honestly, I felt like it was a decent film. It kind of reminded me of 8 Mile of this generation. The reason why I say that is 8 Mile was a good film for its time, and I feel like The Fire Inside was a good film for its time. The problem with the film is it stopped before she became a professional fighter, and that is an issue because the story wasn't, I feel like it wasn't complex enough to the point where it deserved the film, right? So I just felt like we were running in circles with this film at times, and I thought it was good. I thought it was solid, but for me to say that this is something you should go see at the theater, it should have been a little bit better than what it was. But you guys like emotional stuff, the emotional drama. Oh, they said I couldn't do it, so I did it. Then go see the film. But other than that, you could probably wait till it comes out on a streaming platform and kind of rent it or whatever you do there. If not, go check out the film. It's not a bad movie. I'll put it to you like that. Nosferatu was another movie that came out this holiday season. So Nosferatu is the character that Dracula is based off of. And our reality, if you're into the lore of vampires and just the the explanation behind like the things that we know today. Like it's Nosferatu is a complete 180 of what we understand about vampires. And it comes from that time of where people would create monsters for what they were going through. So for instance, the when the Asians created fucking Godzilla, I couldn't even get his name out there. And it was because of the bombs that were dropped in Hiroshima and Nagasaki. So this is over in Japan. And just the sound that Godzilla makes is supposed to be the sound that they heard when the bombs were dropping. So to create a monster out of that situation is pretty much what people do to face their fears, kind of, if you get what I'm saying. So like Nosferatu was based off the plague in Germany. And people will wake up, they had these bite marks from all the rats that were running in the street. So the bite marks became symbolism. Well, Nosferatu, the vampires, became symbolism to the rat markings on human bodies back in those days. So, and it kind of got into like the curse and all that other thing, and which is a deeper meaning in the lore of vampires. And you never look at vampires and think of vampires like that, especially since you have Blades out, like vampires like Blade out there. But like the history of vampires, when they're supposed to be more demonic and they're a curse on the land that they're living on, so on and so forth. Like it didn't, nowadays we don't see that anymore. Vampires are kind of glorified, and pretty much all you have to do to take them out is with a stake. And then you have movies like Twilight that kind of switch things around. And like I said, Blade really created a whole nother mindset when it comes to vampires. And you're like, oh, there's good vampires too. And that's not what Nosferatu is. It's more so the lore from Germany back in those days. So again, if you're interested in the lore of the vampire, or as my man that played the Green Goblin. Why am I skipping out on all these names in 2025? This is wild. This is a bad start. William Dafoe. There you go. As my man William Dafoe would say, the vampire, which I thought was very dope. Like when they were talking in like the King's English and stuff, just how they were speaking. All in all, I liked the film. I enjoyed the film. I don't think it's something that everybody should rush out there and go see, because I don't think you guys would enjoy it as much. Like the cinematography, just the dated, like the 1800s, just looking at that, the aesthetics of the film. And there's going to be things in the film where you're just like, oh, why didn't they just do this instead? But it's just dope. Again, it's back to the lore. The lore is dope, so you want to you want to see the movie because of the lore. And then the movie didn't disappoint, but I don't think it brought any new people to the table to enjoy the film either. So there you go. Getting into the next topic. Before we get into the next topic, I want to take a break and let you guys know that I appreciate y'all for tuning in as always. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, leave the comments down below. Right now, I want to know if you guys have checked out these films. So what did we talk about today? We talked about Sonic 3. We talked about The Fire Inside. We talked about Nosferatu. If you guys have checked those films out, go ahead and leave a comment down below. How did you feel about those films? Am I tripping in my takes on these films? I know everyone pretty much liked Sonic 3. Like it had a very positive reaction. So did The Fire Inside. But I just feel like The Fire Inside is just not a film that you would just rush out there and see, unfortunately. It was an okay film. It was not the greatest budget, but that's okay for a film of that magnitude. It didn't feel cheap. It just felt like it was a lackluster story. Clarissa Shields, that's her name. Sorry about that. So yeah, and then Nosferatu is another film. If you guys, it's rated R, by the way. It's a hard R. It has some things in there that's a little weird. It's a little edgy. There's a little sexy in there. So you probably want to leave the kids at home on this one. All right. So again, go ahead, leave it in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Let's get into our next topic. Going into Starz, I wanted to speak about Starz because just scrolling online, I just see a bunch of these come back to Starz subscription signs, and they have all these deals with Starz right now, which is great. They have some great deals. Like you can get Starz for like $24 for the whole year. And this is not an ad, which I feel is good. But as I was about to sign up for it, because I'm not watching Starz at this very moment because Power is not going on at this very moment. So I was just like, I'm going to just hold out until Power comes back on and then I'll sign up. Which got me to thinking, like, what else does Starz have? Like, of course, they have the films that come out. I believe they have deals with Disney still. They still have deals with Lionsgate. I believe Starz is a Lionsgate company or vice versa. Either way. So they have those films. And I believe they have some Sony films in there as well. But like all in all, why would you need a Starz subscription? Like what shows are people watching out there that makes you want to go out there and get a Starz subscription? And again, at $24 for the whole year, that's $2 a month. That's the best subscription price out there. Like I can't beat it. And again, this is not an ad. But I couldn't find a reason to pay this $24 because there's no Power right now. There's literally nothing that I'm watching on Starz. I guess I can go back, watch the Power reruns. But I like recently purchased the original Power series on Vudu, which is Fandango at Home now, whatever. By the way, Fandango at Home needs to sell Vudu to some other company because they haven't been doing a very good job. Just the platform just seems very laggy, but we'll get into that another time. So I purchased that. I was going to purchase the other series just to have them in my library. I'm big on collecting films. I'm big on collecting shows that I love. Also, I'm looking into purchasing The Penguin, but I'm waiting for it to go on sale. But all in all, I just didn't find a reason to pay that $2 a month or the $24 for the year at this time. And that is very bad. So it just left me thinking, like, if 50 Cent were to really leave Starz, like if they just stopped and cut him off or he went somewhere else, what would Starz have to keep people engaged with their platform? I feel like they're suffering right now because there's really nothing else that's going to make you want to go to run to Starz. I don't think they're in bed with anyone, so I don't think you can get a Starz on Amazon type deal. And of course, you can purchase Starz through Amazon Prime, but it's not really worth it because you don't get that $24 deal that I was just discussing with you guys. So what's really going on with Starz? What is their business model? I suggest that Starz keeps Curtis 50 Cent Jackson happy. Reason being is because he has Power. I take that back. He has Power Book 2, Power Book 4, which is Force, and Power Book 3, which is Raising Kanan. On top of that, he has the BMF series, and I believe they're working on another Power series. And these are just spinoffs of like one show with Courtney Kemp, and I believe Courtney Kemp teamed up with 50. So this is really a Courtney Kemp brainchild, and 50 Cent just brought it into fruition with Starz, so on and so forth. But as far as like the stronghold that 50 has with that content alone, and I know he has other projects that he's working on, we've seen them, the For Lifes on ABC, things of that nature. What does Starz have to lose besides their customers? Like if they have other fan bases out there, I got to look at the numbers a little bit more. If the business is out there, it's a little bit different. I believe they have Outlander and stuff like that, which is a whole nother like aspect of a fan base. So if I'm wrong, correct me, but I don't think Starz has anything else. P-Valley left, and I'm glad. I never watched the episode of P-Valley. It's just not my cup of tea. I'm not about to sit up here in front with you. Don't plan on ever watching it. But I seen that came and went, and just all the Starz series have come and gone. HBO has deals with Disney now, so they have the Disney Plus bundle with HBO and ESPN and Hulu. So it's like, what is really going on? Like Starz needs to team up with someone to make something happen, and Starz need to make sure that they keep 50 happy. By all means, like there's no reason why they're not cranking these shows out how they should be when they had it back in 2022, 2023. in that era when them shows kept coming back to back. Maybe it was a month in between, but right now, I believe Power Book 2 ended in like October. We're in January, and there's no sign of a new show coming. So that's kind of a problem. Now you're sending out these. I've never seen so many ads for $24 for the 12 months. Never. So again, and I probably got it at that price beforehand, but I've never seen it I've never seen it pushed this hard before. So again, I could be wrong, but Starz, I would make sure that we get more content out there, try to get more shows going with other creators and work with these guys, because obviously 50 is your golden child and y'all need to keep him happy. And let's make this stuff happen. There's no reason not to. Like I'm sure that the show doesn't cost too much money to make. New York, it seems like they are spending a little bit more money out there. Chicago, they don't seem like they're spending enough money. So I think Starz need to start working on that business model a little bit more, keeping the executive producers happy, keeping the actors happy. And honestly, I'm keeping a being with you guys. You could probably replace the actors at this point because, with all due respect, they're not great. That's neither here nor there. Again, not the main ones, but we can trade a couple of those guys out. Don't get me wrong. All right. So that's it with Starz, man. What do you guys think? Again, don't forget to put it in the comments. Have you guys noticed those ads? Have you guys noticed that nothing else is like solidified on Starz right now? Starz, what are you doing? Go ahead and leave it in the comments. I appreciate you guys. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Going into the business model with Disney, I was just reading some online. Actually, first off, I was reading something on Screen Rant. It was just speaking on the dollars that was spent on Andor. No, Screen Rant was speaking on Andor not getting the second season. I'm not a Star Wars guy. I'm not a Star Wars guy, so I didn't watch Andor. I watched the John Campea show, and they just stated on there that Variety reported that Andor cost over $645 million to create. So putting Star Wars Andor into production, filming, editing, putting it out there to you guys, us, I guess, $645 million. To put that into perspective, I'm trying to think of like a recent film that was just like a real big budget. Wicked, which was an amazing film. I believe the film cost $165 million. That was the first one. Now, collectively, probably cost $330, $325, $330. Wicked is at about $600 million at box office right now. So they're probably at about $100 million in profit right now, right? Andor is something that's coming straight to us in streaming, and it's included with that, depending on your subscription model. I have the $20 one. So my $20 a month, Andor just came to me a $645 million production to my TV screen in my living room, right? You have to sell a lot of ads for that. There's no way around it. Like I'm trying to make it make sense. Like these shows are costing 2 to 3 film budgets. And to someone at Disney, that makes sense. It's just blasphemy. My thought process would be, if it costs me this amount of money, why not put it out in theaters? There was a movie called The Irishman that came out on Netflix and cost like, I want to say $200 million, which is crazy just to think about that. It was a mobster movie. It had no business being $200 million. It was released on Netflix. And I just remember getting these calls from customers asking if we were showing this film. And it was just like, nope, that's a Netflix thing. Later on, Netflix started to release their big films into theaters, but this would have been the perfect time to try that model. Reason being is this is $200 million that you're not getting back. Like, you already have Netflix. We're just giving this to you because you have Netflix. And that's, again, it's just the business model doesn't make sense to me. And a lot of these issues are going to continue if we don't tweak the business model a little bit. You guys are shooting these films in films. You're shooting these shows in scope. which means that you're shooting these shows like they're films, and they could be put on a film screen. Go ahead and release it. If you do it 1 to 2. I would say 2 to 3 shows at a time, 2 to 3 episodes at a time. So week 1, you give us 3 episodes at the movie theater, one night only special, $5, $10, whatever you want to charge, right? Or a regular movie ticket, whatever. Then you show it on Disney Plus week to week, 1, 2. So that's 6 weeks. We got to see it in 2 weeks because we paid our money seeing it at the theater. Or we got to see it in 2 days. So week 1, you give us 3 episodes on that Friday or Saturday. And then week 2, you give us the following 3 episodes, or actually if you do 9 to 10 episodes, you could just do 3 episodes at a time. If the episodes are an hour. So it's an hour episode, 3 hours or 2 hours and 40 minutes or whatever it's going to be. That way you're getting a double bubble. You're hitting us at the box office, and then you're hitting us when we get home. We already got the subscription. Maybe we want to watch it again before we watch it the second or third, not the second or third episode, going to the theater, catching the second round of the episodes. You know what I'm saying? There's always ways to do it, and the regular TV model just doesn't work anymore. There used to be times where primetime television, these shows were on. It just doesn't matter because all I have to do is I have a subscription for this show or for this station, whatever, Fox, whatever it is, or I should say FX, whatever it is, and I'm going to watch it when I get home, or watch it when I feel like it, or watch it when I get the time, versus I had to watch it at 7 p.m. on Friday because this is what it was, or 7 p.m. on Thursday because this is what it was. So if we don't change that just a tad bit, I feel like you're going to lose a lot of people. Just like Disney Plus has been suffering since, I want to say 2021, actually since the inception, but 2020, they just went into overhaul on content, putting it on Disney Plus. So it was just a bad business model from jump. And I feel like they're trying to finish that up so they can move forward positively, but it's just not working right now because a lot of people have left Disney Plus. So with that, I'm saying hopefully Disney starts to change a little bit, because right now it just seems like they're throwing anything at a wall, hoping that it stick. And I kind of told you guys before, Star Wars is not a $9 billion property. So $600 million, almost $650 million on a project that's adjacent to a Luke Skywalker in that world or in that realm. For one, not for a movie. Even if it was for a movie, I would think it would be too much. But just for a show, it just doesn't make sense. And guys, when I say $9 billion, the reason why I bring up $9 billion is because I believe that's the amount it is stated to be worth at this point in time, because of what it was acquired for during the acquisition, on top of what they're spending on per show. It's a numbers thing. So the $9 million didn't come out of nowhere. There's proof. There's data that backs these type of things up. So you guys should definitely go look into that. I don't feel that Star Wars is really a very valuable entity. It's not. I take that back. It's a valuable entity, but it's not as valuable as a Marvel. And I think that's what people are trying to put it on the same level as, which is just, it's not going to get to that level, not in my lifetime. Now, if they build on the Star Wars and kind of move away into those other galaxies that they know far, far away, so on and so forth, that's when they'll start building. And I feel like it will be in the same realm as a Marvel, DC, so on and so forth. But right now, it's just Star Wars is not that. It never was that. I just feel like fanboys brought it to that attention because they felt that they grew up with it. So it was the best thing to them. It's like me growing up with Spawn. I know that Spawn isn't a multi-billion-dollar franchise of movies because there's nothing in the data that shows that it is. I know that I enjoyed that movie growing up. Same thing with Blade. I know that Blade isn't worth $1 billion at box office, but it probably can get $500 million at box office, depending on what type of film it is, you know? So that's the type of things that I look at. When it's tough to make a Blade movie, I see why. The numbers, it needs to make sense. And right now, a lot of this stuff doesn't make sense, numbers-wise, data-wise. So that's why it's a lot more difficult to get these things greenlit and for these things to actually work. When you have writers, directors, actors signed on and falling off, you know this movie is going to cost about $200 million. So what do you need? $200 million to make this movie for production. So that's going to be another $100 million in marketing, and that's light. So $300 million out the door, right? $300 million out the door, and then you have to pay back your investment. So the movie has to make back $600 million just to break even, the very minimum. And I want to say it's a little bit more than that, but I'm gonna just say that $600 million just to break even. And then once it hits the 700 million mark, okay, now we're $100 million in profit. Now we can start working on the next film. That's the way things work. So when it comes to Blade, I see why it's delayed again and again and again, because in 2025, we can't make a $50 million Blade movie. We couldn't make a $50 million Blade movie in 1998. So that's the problem. So those things have to make sense. And when they did this with Andor, I don't know who the hell greenlit this. Who in their right mind, like somebody had to have been smoking something over there, because it just makes no sense whatsoever. So that's my spiel on that. I hope you guys understand where I'm coming from. If you don't, leave it in the comments. Let's have a conversation about this stuff, because in no shape, form, fashion that I feel that Andor or any Star Wars product should be having $600 million spent on it for one project. Makes no sense whatsoever. That could have been a trilogy sent out the door. Wouldn't have been a great trilogy, especially in 2025 terms. Maybe you could have got a deal. Maybe you could have got some actors, low budget. Maybe you could have got the editors, took their time on it, so we could have spread it out amongst some time and also got them at a low budget. Then we're talking, then we're cooking, right? But 2025, you need a Star Wars film made in 2025 for it to come out in 2027. It's going to cost you at minimum $250, $300 million. And speaking of $300 million, that's another thing I wanted to get into. So that's my Star Wars spiel again. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, leave the comments down below. Let's have these conversations, because I know y'all want to have them. Let's get into Superman Legacy. Reports have been coming out that this film costs about $250 to $300 million. Or actually, I believe the budget was stated to be $350 million. And online, people are saying that is far-fetched, that couldn't be the furthest thing from the truth. And I'm thinking to myself, again, maybe the budget hasn't really came out. It hasn't came from a reliable source. I can see $300 million on a Superman film. Now, what I've seen as far as the trailer was trash to me. It was the worst thing I've seen this year. But I can see how $300 million is spent on this film. People are not looking at it as, this is 2008, Dark Knight, $180 million budget. We have to look at this as James Gunn, Warner Bros., DC. This is the launch of our new universe. So that's three things. We got James Gunn, we got DC and Warner Bros. This is the launch of our new universe. James Gunn last film, Guardians of the Galaxy 3, cost $250 million to make. And if you've seen this film, again, it was a good film, but did you really feel $250 million in there? Not necessarily. But this is James Gunn, $250 million. And that was a film that was released in 2023. So you have that. Now you're launching the DC universe. I don't know if we're calling it the DC EU anymore. I don't know if it's called the DC universe. I'm going to just say DC, Warner Bros., James Gunn. I'm going to just say James Gunn, DC. Put it to you like that. We're launching it out. We're going to bring these characters in there. We're going to start building on these other characters as well. I can see $300 million being spent. That's simple. Now, the color grading, they're talking about how they wanted it to look, and people are also bringing up tax incentives. No form of fashion is a tax incentive brought in during production. Yes, later on, you're going to get a putback as far as all the people you hired, so on and so forth. Yes, you get some money back, but that's very minimal. All right. $300 million, let's say at the very least, they spend $225 million. At the look of this film, I see nothing but disaster, and I don't think that this film is making $1 billion this year, unfortunately. If something's not changed, if the color tones aren't changed, if this ain't the greatest superhero film since, I don't know, the first Black Panther, the Infinity War, Endgame, the Batman, if it's not the Batman good, then I think this film is going to fail at box office. That's me personally. And we can fanboy all we want. This film looks bad. Oh, this is a new creative way he's doing. That's great. This film does not look great to the public. Everyone is not a comic book fan. Everyone is not a Superman fan. People still feel you have to choose between Marvel and DC. Like this is Tupac and Biggie, an East Coast, West Coast thing. It's not about that. It's more so about, is this a comic book film? I'm a geek. I want to go enjoy this film. Will I enjoy this film after watching it? That's it. That's simple. And then you have people they know who Superman is. They're just going to go watch a film, bring their family. That know nothing of the lore. They just want to come enjoy the film. And those are the people that's going to trash this film. Yes, we want James Gunn to do good. Yes, we want the DC to do good. Warner Bros., I don't know what the hell's going on over there. They just lost Christopher Nolan. Warner Bros. Needs some help right now. Mortal Kombat 2 better be good. That's all I got to say. But all in all, what I'm saying here is I hope James Gunn knows what he's doing. Guardians of the Galaxy worked because Guardians of the Galaxy was nothing that we were looking at to be phenomenal. The first Guardians of the Galaxy film was good. Damn near great. Second Guardians of the Galaxy, yeah. Third Guardians of the Galaxy, yeah. But it was Guardians of the Galaxy. We're not expecting too much from these films. This is Superman, the most popular comic book character in the world, arguably. So I want you guys to think about that. And again, let me know what you think in the comments. I appreciate y'all for tuning in. This is going to be one of the longest videos of the year because I haven't been here in a while. So I appreciate y'all for tuning in again. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. I'll see you guys again next week for the next episode of the Seasman Roll Show. Peace.